The twist reveals the show's props are accomplices, not symbols, instructions. Across 12 beats, they expose a plan hiding in plain sight. A broken plate predicts a broken soul. A box cutter speaks a love and a vendetta. A fly traps a confession you missed. We'll track the pattern. If each artifact points to the same puppet master, then the crazy theories aren't crazy. They're the blueprint. And the scariest part? The plan depends on everyone underestimating one person. Number 1. Walt wanted the cuffs. The theory claims Walt engineered his own capture, not a slip, a landing. He says, "I did it for me," and then seeds a path any cop could follow. A lottery ticket with GPS numbers sits in his wallet like a geocache tag. The taped phone call paints a monster for the file. He hands Skyler the rice and truth as if logging evidence. Fans point to the Volvo plate, "Live free or die," and note he picks both. He calls the police from a bar and lingers long enough to be traced. He returns to the house while feds hover nearby, like he wants an audience. He schedules Lydia's tea as a ticking clock with a name on it. And his last lab walkthrough reads like a staged crime scene. Orderly gear, no mask, him in frame. The twist reveals tragedy demands judgment. Objects mutate into signatures. The rice and cigarette, the pork pie hat, the lottery ticket. Heisenberg signs his work, then files it where law will find it. He doesn't need cuffs on his wrists because the plan closes around him. He gives himself the verdict and the credit in one move. If Walt invites judgment, who else is reading ahead of the room? Number 2. Gus knew the diagnosis. The theory argues Gus knew about the cancer before the handshake and leveraged it. He scouts to the atom, so a school teacher with chemo bills doesn't sneak up on him. He builds a cash-only super lab for one cook, threads in health insurance talk, asks about time frames, then pauses deals to match treatment cycles. Fans point to his quiet hospital sightings, the nods during Hank's recovery, and that talk with Gail about a man who can be controlled by need. The charity cook, the framed donations, the spotless Volvo, props that sell kindness while he audits vulnerabilities. He watches, not as a friend, but as an actuary. Mortality becomes a spreadsheet. Research on narco business shows leverage flows through medical debt and family ties. The show mirrors that logic. Gus pegs Walt's value to his half-life. He budgets risk around scans and side effects. He fronts patience when Walt's weak, then applies pressure when Walt gains strength. It's surveillance dressed as concern. The twist reveals cancer becomes Gus's clock. He expects the disease to end Walt before Walt ends him. That misread primes the conflict. He controls the calendar, not the outcome. The bear in the pool keeps staring. Who actually lost innocence here? Number 3. The pink bear is Jesse's ghost. The theory claims the pink teddy bear isn't Walt's guilt. It's Jesse's lost innocence, drowned on Walt's watch. One eye gone, fur scorched, chlorine-soaked. It falls from a sky bent by Jane's death, then lands in Walt's pool. That placement is the tell. The pain belongs to Jesse, but it lives in Walt's house. Look at Jesse's child markers that turn into grief markers, the drawing in rehab that tries to reset him, Andrea and Brock pulling him toward care, then toward fear, the spider in the jar after Drew Sharp, a kept trauma he can't release. Post-Jane, Jesse's gaze dulls. The bear's missing eye echoes that stare. Not blind, just damaged. Fans point to the pool as mirror. Walt's calm blue surface holds what Jesse can't process. Symbol theory backs the read. Objects externalize inner states. The bear appears after Walt watches Jesse suffocate in grief. The object doesn't accuse Walt with words. It sits, it stains. Walt cannot name Jesse's ghost, so the show names it for him and drops it where he suns himself. Mini payoff. If the bear is Jesse's innocence, Walt keeps it like a trophy. The eye bagged as evidence says the quiet part. He sees and looks away. Speaking of looking away, was Skyler really pushing back or building a shield? Number 4. Skyler, the firewall. The theory argues Skyler wasn't opposing Walt. She was redirecting heat. She says she's waiting for the cancer to come back, and yet she launders cash, buys the car wash, fakes breaks in public, and scripts clean stories about poker wins. That isn't chaos, that's triage. Watch the blue palette and the pool. The house cools down while she moves hot money into safe lanes. Cash stacks in the baby's crib, not as flex, but as liquidity you can move in a minute. At the party, she stages an outburst that reads unstable to outsiders, which lowers scrutiny. Turkey bacon breakfasts reset normal. The silent standoffs with Walt are covers that let her steer decisions without a recorded yes. Fans point to the lawyer runs and the IRS scene. She narrows risk vectors, corrects the numbers, and preserves deniability on paper. Abuse dynamics show how protection can look like resistance. You contain the blast inside the home so it doesn't torch the street. Skylar turns the house into a damage control site and makes the lie hold. Mini payoff. She never says, "I'm with you." She says, "I'll keep your lie alive long enough to live." That shields his legend and buys the kids an exit. But if Skylar is a firewall, what lit the fire? Heisenberg wasn't born in the RV, the theory says. Number 5. Heisenberg was always there. The theory claims the cancer didn't create Heisenberg. It unlocked him. The clues predate the diagnosis. The pants in the desert mark a first reveal, not a birth. The name Walter, ruler of the army, signals command. When Gretchen and Elliot come up, pride flares. He rejects their lifeline, but he grabs risky power the first chance he gets. Watch the early flexes. The fulminated mercury pitch is a showman's grenade staged for awe. The improvised battery in the RV isn't survival, it's thrill. After Gale, his eyes go box cutter cold. The hat doesn't hide him. Fans point to it as an amp. The man wants command. The pork pie just lets him say it out loud. Drama backs this read. In Shakespearean tragedy, the fatal flaw sleeps until the plot shakes it awake. Props work like mirrors that don't lie. The broken plate reflects calculation. The coin toss exposes rigged chance. The hat crowns a choice already waiting. Each object reframes a decision as destiny, but the seed sits in him from day one. Mini payoff. The cancer clock didn't rewrite his code. It stripped the safety protocols and left raw will. And if the core is control, maybe the story's real center isn't Walt at all. Number 6. Jesse, the moral center. The theory argues Jesse is the true main character, the barometer for soul. He starts as a joke. He becomes the conscience you trust. He shields kids when no one else does. He refuses blood money after Drew Sharp. He cracks when Brock gets pulled into the game. That arc asks you to track harm, not wins. Look at the objects that grow up with him. The scorpion tattoo starts as edge, then reads like a warning about sting and guilt. The tarantula in the jar sits on a shelf like a bottled trauma after the train heist. In rehab, his confession isn't clean. It's a map of shame that keeps updating. On Andrea's porch, he tries for quiet, then flinches when the world won't allow it. Fans point to the finale choice. He has the shot. He doesn't take it. He tears free of chains and drives, choosing life over throne. That move reframes point of view. Stories often shift toward the character who changes morally. His toys become talismans, and each one carries cost. Number 7. Mike, the missing fix. The theory claims Mike could have replaced Walt and ended the chaos. He runs systems, he respects rules, he contains risk, but he keeps Walt because the product is unmatched and because Gus's war needs that cook more than calm. Look at the controls Mike builds. He bugs houses and cars with clean entries and fast pulls. He sets hazard pay so crews stay loyal and quiet. He runs dead drops on fixed loops that starve heat. Each move lowers noise. Each move blocks heroics. Fans point to his read on Walt. "You are a time bomb." He tries to ship Walt out when heat spikes, but pride jams the plan and the market won't accept downgrade purity mid-war. Organized crime case logic backs it. Redundancy cuts, volatility like a fuse shortens blast radius. Gus tested it with Gale. It almost stabilized the line. Mike knows the recipe. Swap in a steady hand. Keep the ecosystem dull. Let the money hum. Under Mike, the Empire trades spectacle for uptime. Number 8. Brock. The theory argues Brock's poisoning wasn't a late pivot. Walt set the board early. He builds a myth around Ricin from the first broken plate talk with Crazy 8. It becomes ritual. He drafts Jesse into that ritual so the trigger will work when he needs it. The tension comes from rehearsal. The fake Ricin cigarette trains a frame. Walt plants a guilt script, then nudges a false trail toward Gus. He keeps repeating the same beats. Secret stash, missing item, panic. Each round burns trust and bends Jesse's reflexes toward exactly one suspect when a child gets sick. Then the concrete moves. The lily of the valley reveal in the yard. The Roomba shot that glides past the potted plant like a signature. Saul slots in Huel to lift the cigarette, a clean swipe that proves the frame can hold. Fans point to Walt's probes of Jesse's panic, timed visits to Andrea, sudden urgency, soft voice, then a hard push away. Number 9. Saul set the exit. The theory claims Saul Goodman knew Walt would die and planned around it. Saul's brand is survival. so he builds exits like a contractor. He keeps a vacuum repairman on speed dial, preps new IDs in advance, and runs clients through dry run disappearances. He jokes in movie quotes, but he reads obits like weather reports. He pressures Walt to retire the moment the graph spikes. He nudges Jesse out to lower the blast radius. He orchestrates the Hewell pickpocket with surgical calm, proves he can lift a talisman from a paranoid client, and measure how predictable that panic is. Fans point to the cross-text. The man stashes cash in ceilings, keeps burner phones like seeds, and sees 10 moves ahead because he assumes the worst. Lawyers in organized crime model client half-lives. When volatility jumps, they hedge with shelters, false names, and distance. Saul hedges hard. He treats Walt as a curve, not a partner. The plan isn't mercy, it's math. Number 10. Hank's Heisenberg Mirror. The theory argues Hank becomes like Walt by the end, driven by pride over prudence. Early Hank is swagger and beer, loud laughs and tall tales. Then the mask slips. He hides the poem book, works solo leads, and turns a family clue into a private hunt. Protocol fades, ego drives, the tells stack up. The mineral obsession looks like Walt's lab neatness, a control ritual that calms fear. He keeps Tuco's grill as a victory prop, a trophy that sells the myth of the hunter. He corners Walt in the garage for the showdown he wants, not the arrest he needs. Fans point to the bathroom epiphany as a coronation. He doesn't just find Heisenberg, he crowns himself the man who will take him down. Genre backs it. Lawman versus outlaw arcs often converge on method. Both men break rules when their names are on the line. Walt cooks outside the law to write a legend. Hank cuts corners inside the law to sign the catch. Same hunger, different badge. That flaw is clearest where Walt draws the line with Jane. Number 11, Jane. The theory claims Walt doesn't freeze in panic. He makes a choice. Let Jane die because she threatens the Empire. He leans in, sees the choke, and weighs the cost of a partner who's already blackmailing him for cash and control. He steps forward, then back. That retreat reads like policy, not shock. Then he weaponizes the aftermath. Jesse wakes to grief, and Walt steers that grief into dependence. He withholds the truth, offers comfort, and locks Jesse to him with a lie by omission. Later, he pivots to Donald at the bar, nudging a father toward despair without stating a word of context. Cause ripples out. The plane crash cross-cuts the fallout into the city. One choice, wide blast radius. Fans point to the still camera in the room, a moral dolly zoom without the move. The stillness indicts him. Behavioral studies back the slope. Cross a moral event horizon and later transgressions come easier. Jane marks the threshold. Omission becomes a tool. Silence becomes a weapon. He learns that you can kill by letting life take its course. Number 12. The Fly is the confession. The theory claims The Fly isn't filler. It's a lab day courtroom where guilt and control go to war. Walt hunts a microcontaminant like it's a verdict. He names a speck the enemy because the real stain, Jane, won't fit under a microscope. Control gives him a job that truth would end. The tension tightens on small beats. The ladder slip drops him, a literal fall for a man who thinks he can't. The ceiling light hums like a lie detector he keeps failing. He drifts toward confession with Jesse, then clamps it shut. He trades honesty for mastery. He'd rather fix air than face blame. Mini payoff, The Fly escapes. So does the confession. He doubles down on manipulation as his only solvent. Add up the props and patterns, and the mastermind looks less like a scientist and more like a patient psychopath. The twist reveals the 12 proofs line up. Walt's real genius isn't chemistry. It's psychological warfare, hidden in props that speak louder than alibis. A bear's eye that stares, a coin that never lands fair, a hat that turns pride into a uniform. The map is the method.